Huh? Hey! A few weeks ago, or maybe months ago, depending on when this video comes out, the creator of Pibby, Dodge Greenlee, has put out a statement on how hard it's been for him in the last couple months with the cancellation of his show. With Pibby being incredibly popular still to this day, and with a lot of anticipation for the show to eventually come out back in the day, it got people talking about it again. While reading the comments on a lot of these posts, a lot of people would ask the same exact question. Why can't it be made? And I think I had the answer for that in a minute, but the big question I really wanted to talk about today that I heard a lot of people saying was, why can't he just make Pibby an indie cartoon? Now, every time I read that comment that would come up over and over again, I knew, and I'm pretty sure you know as well, why obviously Pibby can't be an indie cartoon. But I took some time to really think about that question. And to come to think of it, it's not impossible. I mean, it's not gonna happen. We all know it's not gonna happen. But it's fun to dream, and I like to think of myself as a discussionist YouTuber. So today I wanted to talk about Pibby's possible future, and what the creator of Pibby could do in the future. This video will be nothing but speculation and observation based on my opinion, and even though I use a lot of references in this, none of this should be taken seriously. I'm just having fun, talking about something I care about a lot. Now I want to first start off with, I understand 100% why Mr. Dodge Greenlee is having a hard time with all this Pibby stuff. Pibby came out of the woodwork crazy hard with only a trailer, a fake trailer by the way, but only from a small trailer came a huge fan base, support from the network, insane social media support, their own F&F mod, with the promise of high success just being pulled from you. I understand why life can feel like it sucks, especially being in the animation industry right now where everything's pretty much gone to shit. Y'all remember that one episode of Invader Zim where like Dib wins, he actually captures Zim and destroys the entire Urkin race just for it to all be a simulation Zim created to throw a muffin at him? I bet that's how he feels. All that hype and publicity is gone. And the thing that really blew my mind was, with all the internet attention, why wouldn't Adult Swim want to greenlight this? Here's what I think would happen. Pibby was released in 2021, set to be put in production. But a year later in 2022, that's when the merger with Warner Brothers and Discovery happened, creating Warner Media. New higher-ups came in not knowing what they're doing, or at least just not giving a fuck about certain other things, like, for example, getting rid of the entire Cartoon Network Studios building to move it into the Warner's building, or getting rid of a lot of shows that are on their streaming service, which, unless you bought them physically, are no longer available on streaming services. Must be the flu. New higher-ups coming in and changing everything isn't new in the industry, unfortunately, and Pibby wasn't the only thing that got cut that was set in production, but you know, that's what we're talking about now. And with the production of the show starting during the merger and then being canceled, Warner Media still owns Pibby. When you pitch a show, you sell it to the network, and now they own it. You're the creator and you work on it, but you no longer own the cartoon. And to answer the question on why he can't go indie, that's why Dodge Greenlee can no longer pursue Pibby. Or can he? No. Ah! Dude, I'm trying to set up a segue. Like I said earlier, people were asking, why not just go indie? You know, indie's all the rage nowadays, why not just join in? And of course, as an average viewer who doesn't know the business sides of this animation stuff, that might not seem like a bad idea. Why not do it if they have the chance? Well, here's a few reasons. Again, Warner Media owns Pibby. It's not his anymore, it's theirs. So unless he somehow is able to get the rights back, he's out of luck. And there's probably no chance of him getting the rights back. This happens a lot in animation and just entertainment in general, where a studio will order a good amount of episodes for a show and then just not drop it, whether it's through legal reasons or simply just not wanting the show to be on the network anymore. They will just not release it and not give it back. There has been a very little amount of times where people are able to get the rights back to their show, but it's incredibly rare. And it's simply to kill the competition. Why would I give you back this for you to make money? I'd rather hold on to this and make sure no one makes any money off of it than you take it and you make the money that I could have gotten off of it.
I can't allow them to make an independent Quimbley game. It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
It's fucked up, but that's the risk you take when selling to a network. It's a beautiful thing that indies become so big recently, so there isn't any bullshit like this. But once you sign that network contract, it's over. But with all legal discourse, there's always a loophole. Let's bring up an OG real quick as an example. Amy Winfrey. Amy Winfrey was the creator of the Nickelodeon cartoon Making Fiends that came out in 2008. Nickelodeon saw her shorts online and asked her if she wanted to make it into a real show, which she did. We may talk about the show a lot nowadays in nostalgia, especially around the Halloween season, but no one saw this show back when it was actually airing on TV. The first and I think the only time I ever actually saw this show on TV was when I woke up stupid early and saw it on Nicktoons. It's already bad enough when a show on any network is played in the early AM, but when it's on Nicktoons network airing that early, god damn! The show only aired for about 6 episodes and was canceled to never be premiered again. Meaning, Amy Winfrey, even though she had plenty of episodes already independently made online, could no longer publish anything Making Fiends related ever again. So what did she do about it?
Baking bean dead as always. Baking beans while Charbine makes blends.
Made a parody of it. And that's where the next step lies on how Dodge could possibly make this series. Dodge Greenlee could make Pibby and have the use of copyrighted IPs if he could make it under parody law, which pretty much means that as long as he uses these characters for comedic purposes or to make a point without ripping off the characters or the entire franchise, then under fair use, that's A-okay. Just like how you see some other parody cartoon online or some simple cutaway gag from Family Guy. It works the exact same way.
Hi, I'm Peter Griffin. Under parody law, in order to use someone else's character in an unlicensed fashion, we have to provide something called commentary. The commentary here is that Mickey Mouse hates Jews.
All Dodge Greenlee has to do is change the names and designs of the main characters, make fake but close enough names for the IPs he would parody, and boom! It's as if Pibby never left! Okay. I know it's not as simple as I just made it out to be, and even if he were to do all that, more than likely, it still wouldn't work out. I say that because Dodge is in the animation industry, like currently. And with the industry collapsing right now, I'm sure he wants to hold on to his job as long as possible. It's possible to be in the industry and still work on indie stuff. Like Dana Terrace has her little pilot she's working on right now. But with Pibby still being pretty new, to go off and make it on your own terms probably wouldn't come off too good to a network. To us regular people who don't know too much about animation, that might come off as a power move, sticking it to the man. But to the network that he works for, it will probably come off as...
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the park.
You see what I mean? Not a good look. Not saying that this would happen or he would lose his job or anything like that, God forbid. But it's not hard to get blacklisted from the industry. And I'm sure he doesn't want to take any chance. But let's say through all this bullshit, hypothetically, he were to go through with it. He would make the changes, went straight to making parody Pibby an indie cartoon. Then what? A big problem with indie cartoons is simply how you're gonna make it. Even though it's indie, cartoons are still a full-on production that takes forever to complete. In order to make a full-on production team so the cartoon can come out on a somewhat regular basis, you need to hire people to help you. And that means you need money. To be honest, I don't think money will be the biggest problem per se. Most animated indie shows are crowdfunded, completely funded by the fans who don't mind donating. Pibby is still incredibly popular, so I'm sure one day he posted a Kickstarter link to this little parody project. That thing will be fully funded in no time. But even with a fully funded project, longevity is still the main goal. With working with a network or a studio, unless they cancel your show, you don't have to worry about funds, or specifically where the funds come from, only how much an episode rakes in. With indie animation, you can't really waste a penny of that money, since you're going to need all of it. The pilot for Lackadaisy, even though fully funded, still needs a lot more for the series to continue.
Lackadaisy leads are paid $1,000 a week for their labor, and animators and artists are paid $800 a week. Factoring in pre-production, post-production, and animation, a single episode is estimated to cost no less than $250,000. Applying this to a 5-episode season, and assuming all kinds of taxes, massive fulfillment costs, and overhead, you can see how quickly that $2 million budget gets eaten up.
The indie show Monkey Wrench, go watch Monkey Wrench! Even though I think it's pretty successful, it doesn't make nearly enough back from YouTube. Main point being, if Indie Pibby were to be a thing, there has to be another form of income to fund it. Shows like Digital Circus, Hazbin Hotel, and just recently Hell of a Boss got picked up by streaming services. But I doubt any other service would want to pick up a show that relies on parodies of an already existing property and is a remake of an already popular idea that can get them in legal trouble with other services. Not impossible, but all that doesn't help. So, if it stays strictly on the internet, what would a show do to make money?
Wait a minute, you're not granting our desires, you're just spitting out merch.
Yeah, exactly! Your greatest desires!
Pretty sure it thinks all human desires are just merch. It's a merch machine.
Oh.
Merchandise! Dude, I can't believe they rejected this show. You know how much official crossover merch can be made from this idea? Hot Topic would be loaded with them. Parodying an existing IP is one thing, but making merchandise based off a character could be pretty dicey. Sure, you can buy those shirts at a thrift store or for a crazy cheap at a foreign person's trinket stand outside of the mall, but producing a look-alike shirt online can get you into some trouble. Animation from such a long time ago, when it first became widespread, was made for advertising, for physical stuff. That's where the money is. If they were to stop Dodge from doing anything, physical media will probably be the nail in the coffin. And that's pretty much it. There's probably a lot more things I didn't take into consideration, but from what I would know, this is all how Pibby could be made. But nah, I doubt it. This all seems like a lot of work. A common reason why people thought that Pibby was canceled was because all the IPs in the show would be too much logistics problems for the network, which I don't believe for a second. Every single character in Pibby that wasn't made for the short was a character from Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Hanna-Barbera, pretty much everything owned at one point by Time Warner. We've seen constantly cartoons from the same network use each other in an episode, whether it's a crossover or a small joke. I'm not really too sure how that works per se. I'm sure there's some sort of permission you have to ask towards somebody, but it's not like they're using Disney Channel or Nickelodeon. Again, I don't know how that works, but I'm pretty sure they would have been fine. Why would they put out the trailer in the first place if they didn't know what they were going to get themselves into logistically? That, though, is the biggest reason why I don't believe Pibby would work out as an indie animated show. Not only by working with the network that you have permission to use these characters for your show, it would have been canon. There's a lot of jack-offs on the internet making plenty of crossover content. That's not special. Pibby was on TV. Pibby was on TV with the actual characters on the same channel. It was real, and that was, in my opinion, the coolest part of Pibby. Literally anybody with a drawing program can do that themselves, but the fact that Pibby would have been on TV alongside the characters that they were mentioning and referencing, that was the biggest part of Pibby for me. I already said this earlier, but imagine the freaking merch for that. That would be so cool, getting actual shirts and stuff with Pibby and other characters on it, officially licensed by Adult Swim or Cartoon Network or whoever the fuck is handling all that. I just really miss crossovers, man. Especially with shows that I actually liked. But that's all I gotta say about Pibby's future. I mean, given the choice to have it keep going or to stay where it is, would you rather let it keep going but it not be at the potential it should have been? Or let it die out like a star, with all of its respect? The answer should have been the second one. Pibby was great, but it's time we should let it go. And support Dodge Greenlee in his next coming ventures. He's still getting work, so that's pretty good. And I just want to leave off on that the coolest thing about Pibby is that even though it was never picked up, it's still more alive than ever. Because what Pibby was, we have the ability to do. All the fan art and all the fan animations of Pibby, it's like how it was in the trailer, her bouncing back and forth at different cartoon dimensions. I'm so freaking surprised they don't just convert it to like small, short web episodes, especially since the premise now we know is gonna be like their world being tormented by brain rot and common slang. And I think that would definitely work better overall if it were to be put on the internet. But oh well, that's it. If there's anything else to take into consideration about Pibby that I didn't mention in this video, let me know in the comments. Also, if you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I desperately crave your admiration. Okay, that's it. Bye. Mwah.